All right, everyone. Welcome once again to our Meal Solutions class. Excited to have you along with me today. I'm Shayna, one of the dietitians. And in our Meal Solutions class, we like to focus on what we call flyer to fork. So taking our sales ad flyer for the week and putting it into motion so it ends up on your table, your plate with your fork. All right. Um, this is what we're going to be covering today. We're going to chat a little bit more about what the weekly sales ad is. If you are a regular, you've probably heard us say it before, but I always think it's good to review. You might learn something new, okay? If you are new, we're going to also chat about where to find it. And then, of course, we are going to bring it to life, okay? With our featured meal for today, which is a baked oatmeal with fruit. It's been a little bit since I've done a flyer to fork class, and I always feel like whenever I do one of them, I always like to sneak a breakfast meal in there because breakfast is a meal that needs a solution too. So we're going to chat about that today. All right, so starting off with how to find our weekly ad. If you're not familiar, sometimes we call it a weekly ad, a sales ad, a flyer, a circular, all mean the same thing, but there are different ways that you can find it from us. So you could find it in your mailbox, a print paper copy in our stores, as well as on our website and on our app. So if you have a smartphone, I definitely recommend that you download our app. So that way you can check it out that way and get some good digital coupons, which is going to be highlighted in the recipe that I'm doing today. We have some ingredients that are a digital coupon. All right, so this is what it's going to look like online. I have it circled there in red. Once you go to our website, you would click on weekly ad, and then you can view it two different ways. You can do a grid view, or you can do what I like to do, which is the print view, which is basically going to show you what that sales ad looks like, but in print view right there, okay? Uh, so that's where you find it on our website. This is how you find it on that app, okay? So when you pull up your app, you're just going to scroll down a little bit and it will say weekly ad. This one in particular is going to show you that you can access this week's ad or preview next week's ad. Now you can start previewing next week's ad starting on Thursdays, okay? So our sales ad runs from Friday to Thursday, and we'll start over the next day. So we give you a little sneak peek on Thursday. So be mindful of that. You can find that once again on the app as well as on our website. All right. Now, how do we bring it all to life? Okay, so what we like to do is we like to find those ingredients that we like in the sales ad and then find some recipes for them, okay? Maybe some of those products that are on sale are things that are staples, things that are new you want to try, but maybe they are things that you're like, hey, I need a new and different recipe for it. And that's what you're going to find here on our Savory site. So at the top of our website where I circled that weekly ad, if you go over a few tabs, you're going to see where it says recipes. It will take you to our Savory Recipe Resource Center, whether you're Giant or Martin's, it will work for both. And then you can just type in any type of ingredient and you will have a slew of recipes, as you can see. Further down there on the left, you can use some advanced filters like filtering recipes for guiding stars, so you know that they're a bit better for you, as well as different dietary needs, or if you're specifically looking for an entree versus a side versus a dessert, it's all there for you. Okay, so definitely use Savory if you're not already. That is where all of our recipes are coming from, usually with these classes. Okay. So let's check out our recipe for today, which is a baked oatmeal with fruit. And I say with fruit, you'll see down there the links say with bananas and berries, but I want to leave it open to you to decide what type of fruit you want to put into your oatmeal. And we'll chat about those options here in a minute. All right. But let me take a minute here while we're chatting about that and I am curious, I'm going to do a poll here. since we're making baked oatmeal, how do you like your oatmeal? Okay, do you like it baked in the oven like we're doing today? Do you prefer it on the stove top, in the microwave? Do you like it cold? So like overnight oats? I see some of you are picking in cookies. Maybe you're an oatmeal cookie fan, or maybe you're just not a big oatmeal fan at all, which that's completely fine. I appreciate you being here anyway. Okay. So I'll give you guys just another moment to do that. And let's check out our results. I'm going to be honest, I'm a little surprised, pleasantly surprised though, okay, because you guys know that I am a gal of convenience. So I like to do my oatmeal in the microwave too. Um, but I see that we have stovetop as a runner up to that. A lot of you are on the baked oatmeal train. I really do love baked oatmeal. Like, yes, I like convenience of the microwave, but if I have the option to make something like I'm doing today, a baked oatmeal would probably win out for me. Some of you are in that boat for overnight oats. I did not try to rhyme, but it worked out well. And I love a good oatmeal cookie too. I mean, who doesn't? But I prefer mine with chocolate chips over raisins. Just saying. Or craisins are good too in that way. All right. All right. We will stop sharing those results and dig into this recipe. Okay, here are the ingredients laid out for us, which we will dive deeper into as we actually create our baked oatmeal. Here are the directions, and we might alter these directions just a bit because I have a batch of this oatmeal in the oven now, and I feel like it's taking a little longer than the 25 to 30 minutes. So we're going to check that out here in a moment. We might need to adjust that. But before we do, let's highlight some ingredients that are in this week's sales ad that are in this recipe today. Okay, starting off with that fruit component. The recipe does call for frozen fruit. This recipe, as I mentioned, specifically says berries and bananas. The bananas are fresh, but the berries are meant to be frozen. I love frozen fruit. You guys have probably heard me say it before. I think it's an absolute freezer staple to have to pull out for anything, whether it be something like baked oatmeal, a quick dessert, a snack, whatever it is, keep some frozen fruit on hand. They are on sale this week, okay? So if you want to go the berry direction, here are some berry full options from strawberries to blueberries to some mixes that we carry. But don't feel limited to that, all right? Try something like dark cherries. I used our frozen dark cherries last week when talking about mocktails. So that can be a good one. You could go tropical with things like pineapple and mango, maybe add some shredded coconut. Or my favorite frozen fruit to have on hand is peaches, which I'm going to use today in this other batch that we're making. But I think peaches are always a good one to have. So those are on sale this week. And then, of course, the main big star of our baked oatmeal, the oats on sale, excuse me, the oats themselves are also on sale, both old-fashioned and quick oats. And guys, these are the large canisters, okay, like the big ones. Those are what are on sale. It's a digital coupon. So check out the app for that. For this baked oatmeal, we are using the old-fashioned oats. From a texture standpoint, that is what's going to lend best to a baked oatmeal. Quick oats, since they do cook so quickly, they can end up being a little mushy in something like this. And then your steel cut oats, they take quite a while to cook. So they're not usually recommended for something like baked oatmeal from a time standpoint, but also a texture standpoint. We're looking to do the old-fashioned oats or rolled oats, sometimes is what they're called. Also on sale this week, our ground cinnamon, as well as a lot of other spices. They are a part of a deal where if you buy 10, you get 200 points. If you buy 20, you get 500 points. Prices may be different where you are, but that's the general gist. It's a great time to load up on things like spices. Also, I felt like it'd be nice to showcase a protein that would be easy to pair with this. The Johnsonville already pre-cooked sausages are on sale. I'd recommend going the direction of something like their turkey sausage, whether you want to do the links or the patties, but they're going to be a little bit lower in saturated fat and therefore calories compared to your typical traditional sausage. So a good convenience item there that we can be pairing with our oatmeal. All right. So I believe that is that. Let me stop sharing my screen and let's make this baked oatmeal, okay? So I'm gonna stop there and turn this camera off. And guys, I'm gonna check the baked oatmeal that I have in the oven right now. See if it's done and ready. Like I said, I felt like 25 minutes wasn't quite long enough for it. So I'm gonna stop my camera, switch my screen, grab that oatmeal, and we will dig in. So over here, we should be seeing the ingredients. Hey guys, for those of you who always like to check out my nails, you see that? They like change in the light. Isn't that fun? It's called cat eye nails, and I'm all about it. Okay, enough of that. Let me get the oatmeal out of the oven. Okay, the oatmeal is looking a lot better, and I've had it in for about 45 minutes, and honestly, it could maybe even go a little longer, but I don't want to forget about it, so I'm going to go ahead and take it out now. But just note that I would bake this a bit longer, okay? So what I have going on in this dish right now is 3 tablespoons of melted butter. Recipe says to do about a tablespoon of that butter brushed into your dish, okay? So I'm not going to measure that out. I'm just brushing this on here. This is an 8 by 8 dish, okay? Which is what the recipe is calling for, but if you would like this to bake a little faster, like more like that 25 to 30 minutes, I would say use a bigger pan, okay? Like a 9 by 13 or even a 9 by 9. But I think if you're going 8 by 8, which is what we have here, you're going to need to bake that a little longer. Okay, so we'll put that to the side. I microwaved the butter in this large bowl so we could cut back on dishes, all right? Because everything else we're going to be adding to this bowl. But if you don't have a large microwave safe bowl, then you can, melt that butter in a smaller one and then start mixing from there. But with this butter, I am going to be adding 1 egg as well as 1.5 cups of milk. All right. So we have that in there. We're going to whisk that up. Basically want to make sure that that egg gets nice and whisked up. Could do that before you add it to the mixture if you want, but it doesn't take that long to get in there and get situated. All right. That's looking good. Now to that, we're only adding 1/4 cup of brown sugar, okay? And that can sometimes be the tricky thing with a baked oatmeal or any type of oatmeal is all of the added sugar to it. I've seen recipes that call for much more. So only 1/4 cup of brown sugar. If you wanted to completely add it out, you could do that too, all right? That has dissolved in there nicely. Now we are going to, I'm going to save the vanilla. Okay, we're going to do 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And guys, you know I do this all the time, but here's my 1/2 teaspoon. I like to cut back on the dishes, so I'm just going to use this twice because I need my 1/2 teaspoon for something else. So there's a half and now a whole teaspoon of the baking powder. Okay, we need the baking powder in there so our oatmeal rises just a little bit. For those of you who said you liked oatmeal cookies, all right, kind of has that essence. We still need some science to happen here. Okay, now a 1/2 teaspoon of our ground cinnamon. You'll see here if you haven't bought spices for a while, this is your sign to replace them because we have got some new labeling for our spices. So a 1/2 teaspoon of the ground cinnamon, and then back to a whole teaspoon of vanilla. Okay. Oops. Oh, a little overboard. I probably already did a teaspoon. A little extra is okay. All right. So let's whisk that up here. Okay. Now To that, we are going to be adding 2 bananas. And I'm not looking at the Q&A yet, but I feel like it's going to come up of, do I have to do bananas? Like you said, I could do any frozen fruit that I want to do. I have to do bananas. And that's up to you. I feel like the bananas, since we only used a quarter of a cup of brown sugar, the bananas I feel like are gonna help add some sweetness, okay? Especially if your bananas are nice and ripe. Mine aren't true ripe yet, but that's all right, okay? So I feel like if you are looking for a sweeter oatmeal without having to add more added sugar, I would keep the bananas, okay? I'm just slicing these and putting them in. You could mash them if you wanted to. That's not what the recipe calls for. I kind of like leaving them sliced this way so that way you are getting a little bit of a bite of sweet banana. If you're someone who's like Jenna and doesn't like bananas, then take them out and rely on the sweetness of the other fruits that you're adding. You might need to add a little more in the way of the other fruit to give it some bulk. But if you like bananas, I would say add them in because they're going to add a little something to them. Okay. I'm just peeling the second one right now. Okay. Slice this one in. You could dice these up finer if you wanted to, however you want to go about it. Okay. All right. That's in there. Going to switch my mixing utensil now. Okay. Going from my whisk to a spatula. You could have just used the spatula the whole time and really get in there with the egg if you wanted to, but there we go. Okay, so we have our banana in there. Now we're going to add our last 2 ingredients, the things that are really on sale this week, those oats, okay? So 1.5 cups of oats. I have my half cup here, so I'm going to do 3 of these. Okay. We've got, whoa, if we do a little extra, that's fine. We got 1, 2, and now 3 to give us 1.5 cups. Okay, give this a mix, and now this is where you can play around with that fruit combination. In the baked oatmeal that I have made for you guys already, I followed the recipe and I did the mixed berry blend of our frozen fruit. So we have that berry banana situation going on. But for this one, I'm going to switch it up a little bit and I'm going to do a combo of blueberries and, like I said, my favorite peaches. All right. So the gist is we're not mixing it into this oatmeal, okay? We are going to be placing it on, in the bottom of here first. So that way our fruit is kind of both on the bottom, the top. If we mix it all in, usually stuff like that, the fruit's gonna sink. We're not gonna have it very evenly distributed. So I'm gonna put some of these blueberries and peaches on the bottom and then some of them on the top, okay? It does call for a whole bag of fruit. So I'm going to do about half here and then half on the top. But I will say our bag of peaches, it's a little bit more than what the recipe calls for. Okay, so let me do a little bit more in the way of blueberries. Okay, get our peaches in here. Now our peaches are going to be bigger slices, as you can see here, like this. Okay, we can leave them as they are. We can slice them, dice them, whatever you want to do. I think I'm going to go ahead and just leave them this size. That way they really pop in the oatmeal. They're going to add a nice little brightness and color. I'm going to leave them whole, okay? Just like that. Now, I'm going to take our oatmeal mixture and we're going to pour that all over top here. Okay. And we will spread this out so it's nice and even. Okay. Push that over there a bit. It already smells so good with the addition of those peaches in there. Sometimes you're like, peaches and bananas, is that a thing? It's a thing. Okay, just Just trust me, it's a thing. All right, so let's do some more of these blueberries on top. Okay. And then we'll do some more peaches after that. You could do like some little chocolate chips in here. Not too much, just a little something, something. Um, we're going to talk about some other toppings here in a moment. And then I'm going to just nestle these peaches in like so. Okay, get one here, over here. This is a great thing to be making with the kids, with the grandkids, especially right now with this snow day that we're having. We're going to have some more cold and snowy days ahead. So I feel like this is that perfect recipe of different ingredients. If we do have another big storm on the way, that all of this is either shelf stable or yes, we do have the frozen fruit, but hopefully, if like the electric doesn't go out, then your frozen fruit is going to stay okay for a while. We don't have to worry about fresh fruit going bad. So I think that this is a great one next storm to have on hand. It's a good hearty meal, breakfast. Doesn't always have to be breakfast, right? We can have breakfast any time of the day. Um, this is going to go in the oven at 375. Like I said, I would do closer to 45 minutes. Okay. Let me show you guys the one that I just pulled out. Give me a minute here. Not too hot. There it is. Isn't it nice? It looks good. The first time I checked this at 25 minutes, this center was not quite set, okay? But it's looking a lot more set now. I think this like little bit of mushiness you see is more so the banana, okay? So you can see it's not moving. It's pretty well set in there now. If you would like, you could maybe bake it just a hair longer, but I'm pretty happy with it. I think it once again will pair very nicely with that turkey sausage. Just cut a slice of this to pair with that. And that kind of leads me to my last poll question here for you guys. Let me bring my screen back up, and I have a question for you. And that is, how do you like your baked oatmeal, if you do like it, okay? Do you like to just cut a slice of this and have it dry? Do you like to top it with milk? Do you maybe put some yogurt on there? Maybe a drizzle of honey or syrup? Or, some of you are answering you're just not the baked oatmeal fan, completely fine too. Maybe you'll try this recipe and decide differently. Um, I have seen recently some baked oatmeal that has like a spread of like a chocolate hazelnut on top, which I think sounds kind of fun. We don't want to overdo it, but I think that that could be a fun switch up too. Let me share the results here. I feel like we're kind of just all over the place, or maybe down the middle. Some of you just like it plain as it is, a little bit of dairy with either milk or yogurt. All good thoughts there. I usually just eat this dry, but I think the idea of a little milk on top would be good too. Um, so there we have it of where we all are with that. Okay. All right, guys, let me pull up my screen here for you one more time, and we will finish out this presentation. But I hope that you enjoyed this recipe. Let us know if you give it a try. Certainly come back with us the rest of the week, okay? It's a good time to stay inside and hang out with us for classes. Joni will be on tomorrow with Fresh Finds and talking all about the power sip of tea. And then she'll be back again on Wednesday chatting about protein and fiber rich meals. And then Charlotte and I will finish out the week with coffee chat celebrating one of my favorite holidays, which is National Hot Chocolate Day. Okay, so good things ahead. Definitely sign up for those if you haven't done so already. But otherwise, I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you take care and stay safe and warm the rest of the week. And at this time, I will address some questions in the Q&A. If you have any others, now is your time. But otherwise, I will stop the recording and we will see you next time. All right.